Fierce ladies, welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast, where we unleash our unapologetic power to share the raw truth of our journeys. Brace yourself for a dose of empowerment, education, and encouragement like never before. I'm Kristen, a relentless entrepreneur obsessed with connecting and uplifting fellow boss babes. In this podcast, we're all about getting down to business, conquering motherhood, nurturing relationships, and so much more. Get ready to dive into the nitty-gritty, embrace the hustle, and unravel the secrets of success in the world of real estate. We're here to ignite your fire, equip you with the knowledge, and unleash your limitless potential. Tune in as we redefine what it means to be a true boss babe. Hey ladies of Moms in Real Estate, it's me, Kristen, and today is going to be such a fun episode because we have one of the Moms in Real Estate partners with us, Jenny Hogan, who runs the Hogan School of Real Estate, where she's helping moms in real estate kickstart their business by getting their real estate license, also helping moms stay in real estate by getting their continuing education. We're going to dive in to hear her journey about finding her own way to success. So let's go. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
Good. I'm happy to have you on here. You guys, this is a special guest because she is one of our partners for the Moms in Real Estate Facebook group, which if you're not in, you need to be in because it is amazing with over 30,000 moms in real estate. And Jenny, tell us about how you got involved with Moms in Real Estate and what it is that you do, because you have a whole different role as a mom in real estate than the traditional real estate agent.
I do. So I'm with Arizona School of Real Estate and Business and Hogan School of Real Estate, which was my family's business. And we're owned by a parent company called Colibri Real Estate. Mm-hmm. And Colibri and ASREB both partner with Moms in Real Estate. So if anybody out there is looking for education to get into the industry, we have amazing discounts, and the partnership is launching there, plus additional training. Like we just did the ABR.
That was great.
For the group in September. We have real estate negotiating class that's just getting launched. We have CE, all sorts of things that your members can take if they're interested.
Yeah, it's been so great to partner with Colibri just on a nationwide level and have that opportunity for people to get into the CE classes or pre-licensing, and just the experience has been so good. And we all need CE and we all dread CE, but I feel like when you find a company where they just make it easy, it's awesome. So you guys have to check them out. I want to dive into your story. So obviously, your family owned the real estate school. What made them purchase the real estate school, or how did that look, and how did you come into that when you were able to?
So I always say I was born into the real estate school industry, although my parents didn't start it till I was about 3.
Okay.
And growing up, I would do side jobs, help with the mailing, count the coffee money or roll it. And, but I never wanted to do real estate. Mm-hmm. I had the big dreams of becoming a marine biologist or a veterinarian, and I forged my own path.
Were you going to work at SeaWorld?
Sure.
I feel like that was so many kids, I want to do that.
That's everybody's dream. But actually, I took a course through the University of Arizona where we traveled for 6 weeks down to Cabo and back. Mm-hmm. And I have been scuba diving since I was 13.
Wow.
And so I love the ocean. It's my happy place. And so I said, if this is what a marine biologist does, because we studied the ocean life, I was like, that's what I want to do. So I transferred from the U of A to a branch campus of Texas A&M down in Galveston. And I didn't really know where it would take me, but I needed to go and spread my wings. And so after college, I moved to Seattle. I worked for the Department of Fish and Wildlife Marine Mammal Unit. I got tired of the rain, moved to San Diego, used to teach kids on a boat about the marine life, and bartended and all of those things. And then I was approaching 30 and living at the beach. San Diego is lovely, but it was just very transient. People are coming and going. And
yeah.
I started really to think if I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to have to live inland.
Yeah.
And I was in Ocean Beach, so I was 2 blocks from the beach.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And my parents were like, why don't you move home and learn the business? And it's so much more affordable. I moved back to Tucson. I bought a house for $100,000. and I started working with my family. And, over the years, I think I had the opportunity to purchase the business or set up a business plan with my father and mother and say, I'm going to come to you with this proposal. This is how I'd like to take over the business. But one day I just thought to myself, after talking to my CPA, and she was like, do you really want to do that without your dad? He's like 5 people rolled into one. He's just a thought leader in the community. The educator, writes the content. He's been such a resource that brokers would reach out to him. And I was like, I'm not sure, because I had my son Mateo late in life at 41. And I think your perspective shifts a little bit, where you're maybe a hard driver, and then you're like, wow, I have this amazing new life. And I just thought, I don't know if I want to be working nights and all the time. And an opportunity came to sell the business. And so we took the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And it is like, it's such a unique story. And I have to tell you, we have something like super in common. I lived in Huntington Beach, and I needed to buy a house, and I was 23, and I was like, this isn't happening here. And I moved to Arizona and bought a house for $167,000. But I think that story is, it's so great, because I think that we set out on a path sometimes to, go and be whatever we think it is going to look like. And a lot of times it ends up, we have to pivot, and I feel like in real estate, we have so much of that, where all of a sudden we're 30, we're 35, we're 40, and all of a sudden we're like, we're on our second or third career. And a lot of times that's when people get their real estate license. And so, and they get into the real estate world. Was that scary for you to like put that down and pick something new up?
It was scary, because it was never something that I was really interested in. And I was moving back home with my parents.
Yeah.
And so when you haven't lived at home since you were 18 and now you're coming home at 30, there's some challenges just kind of getting reacclimated and working for them. But they were the best mentors, and they still are, just in how a business should run, how you should treat your students and your clients. My father has a saying, treat them as you would want to be treated. And so I really feel that the customer service level, it is still amazing in my opinion. And like you said, real estate a lot of times is a second, third career for many people. And I think that's what I love about it is you see moms who are looking to start over because their kids are now out of the house. Maybe they're getting divorced. Maybe they got laid off. So many different reasons. And they're nervous. They're scared. They haven't been in school for a long time. And even though the classes are really, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, some of these people you really create a bond with.
Yeah.
And we are their cheerleaders to see them through the process. And sometimes you have to keep them on track, and you have to build them up. And when you see them just pass their exam, it's so exciting. And then they, fly off into the world, and it's even more amazing when they come back and they're like, this is what I've done, and I closed my first deal, and things like that. Because it might seem like a little thing, like, oh, I'm going to get my real estate license, but it's really big and it's really emotional.
Yeah. When I passed my real estate exam, I felt like I flew away from the testing center because it was so hard for me. And I remember being like, I feel like I could like perform brain surgery after that. Like, obviously you can't, but it was just so hard to pass that test. And so I feel like you have to have a lot of people that are stressed out that are going through school, and a lot of like, do you have like anyone in particular that you can think of like over the years that you've been doing this where you're like, that was like a mom who was really stressed out and was so happy that she passed?
I do. I have a few women in mind who came in unsure, a little meek, but really put in the time and effort, didn't pass the exam on the first few times, but stuck it out and didn't want to give up. Unfortunately, I think that with the, with shows like HGTV, people really think that real estate is industry. I mean, sorry, I think they think that real estate is really easy.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't realize how hard it is once you get out there and how it is, you know, how you get your business and things like that. But passing the test is tough as well. I have people who will say, I've passed my CPA exam, I passed the bar exam, and I can't pass this test.
Yeah.
So you have to be easy on yourself, take time, and do the basics of read your book, ask questions. And now that classes are available over Zoom, where people are distracted and shopping on Amazon while they're in class, your attention span is just getting shorter and shorter. And so you really have to like make a conscious effort. I tell people, be an active participant, like force yourself to raise your hand, unmute, ask questions, because, you know, if you're not in the classroom, it's just harder to kind of stay engaged.
What would you say, like, the percentage of people that go to school but never actually go forward with passing the test? Is that a high percentage?
It's fairly high.
Yeah, because I think one time I heard it's 90%. I don't think that is accurate. So I'm like curious to know from your perspective.
I think it's probably around 50%, or a little bit, maybe 60%. There are reasons people drop out through all different stages, right? So people sign up, something changes, they have to move. They're in class, they realize it's not for them, they can't juggle it. They finish the class and never really intend on taking their test because they just want the information on you're making a big purchase, kind of want to know, or direction changes while they're midway through class.
Those are the crazy people. They just do that voluntarily to learn. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. And I know our industry has a 90% fail rate within the first 3 years. And then when I heard the 90% for people that sign up for school and never finish, I'm like, I don't think that's accurate, but I actually do feel like it has to be a high percentage. Because, I mean, I've been doing this for almost a decade, and I had so many people that came out of school that would meet with me for years and years. And I just remember so many people saying things like, well, I watch HGTV, right? And that's why they went in. Or my friend told me I'd be really good at it. I actually know a lot of very successful real estate agents that were like, oh, my friend just told me I'd be good at it and decided to go in.
Or they love to look at houses.
They just love to
look at open houses.
There's so many of them. So sometimes you go in with maybe those three things, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is not just that. And they realize it earlier on.
Yeah, for sure. We're seeing a lot of younger students. When I moved back to town, I would say the average age was 55 in class, and we're seeing a lot more 30-somethings in class, which is really exciting because I think that they have a different perspective. And I'm sure there are 30-somethings that are juggling being a mom, but you know, they're starting this career without maybe some of those responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so we'll see, you know, with the changes in the market, how that younger generation does. But I also feel like they're looking at, all right, I could go to college and have student debt, or I can get into this industry where I have the potential to make six figures.
Yeah.
At a lower cost. You know, it might be worth it just to do over the summer or on my own time.
Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are, you know, I feel like I can see her when I'm sitting here thinking about it, but it's like a girl who's at home and might have like young kids at home and is ready to do something, but not ready to go back to like a 9-to-5 job. She wants that freedom. And so I definitely think they are like the 30 to 40 range is definitely a lot of our audience. And so it's interesting that you say that. Tell us a little bit about, how it's been owning a real estate school and being a mom.
You know, when I had Mateo, my husband is in the printing industry, and he would get up in the morning, go to his company, and then go in the morning before the sun would come up, come home, the sun was down. And we made the conscious decision for him to leave and for him to stay home and take care of Mateo so that I could work, because I also worked in a family business. So I was able to leave if necessary.
Yeah.
And that was a really hard decision because, here I had carried this baby for 9 months. I stayed home with him for 3 months. And even though I trusted my husband, there's a bond that he and I have that I'm sure, every mom has with their child to leave and go to work every day. I pumped, I put up a sheet over my office. I pumped. But I knew that I was doing the right thing for him because we weren't putting him in daycare. And my husband and I set a plan. We said, okay, it's going to be for 3 years. And I need you to cover the food, the electric, or, this and that. And he side hustled some print jobs. And I just stuck it out. It was like, this is not forever. I am very lucky that I can leave as necessary and I have my family support. But it has to be really difficult for a lot of moms to kind of make that decision. And I think that if you can say, especially in the real estate industry, you can make it what you want it to be if you, set a goal. And I know plenty of women in the industry that take their kids with them. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, who are also in real estate, would do that. The kids would be in the car and then they would take them to showings because they've been in it long enough that their clients didn't mind.
Yeah.
And I also think that, like, being a mom, you can relate to so many other people that are in your same situation. And it's not something that you should hide. It's something that you should celebrate. And if there are certain aspects of you being a mom that you do, that you're, amazing, like we were talking about sports, like that's another community of outreach where you can help get business or support you and share commonalities, where I think when you get into something new, and for me, it was like scary to leave, but I'm helping to support my family and I'm proud of it. And then you meet other women that are doing the same and who share similar but different stories. And you're like, okay, I'm a warrior, but I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Because there are other women who are doing the same thing. And we are powerful and we can make it what we want.
Yeah.
Just, I have a vision, 3 years, right? And then Mateo's going to go to school. We're going to change and we'll reevaluate what this looks like down that road.
I think having conversations with your spouse like that are so important, especially as like, a new agent, and how much it takes to put in before you get something back, and really getting your spouse on board. And there's so many moms in real estate I know that have retired their husbands because they became so successful in real estate. So, and a lot of them have stay-at-home dad husbands, and everything looks different for everybody. So I think that also, like in real estate, not feeling like you have to have everything look like, and this isn't life, but have everything look like, everybody else. Like, no, you got to do what works for you and have those conversations like you had with your husband and have a plan. So I love that you shared that.
Hi, it's Barbara with your tax coach, and we love helping entrepreneurs save money on their taxes. Here's a quick tax tip. Did you know that if you have an investment property, you can deduct your mortgage interest, property tax, utilities, HOA fees, and even things like your vehicle if you drive to the property, or meals that you have while working on the property. For more info, follow us on Instagram at Your Tax Coach or go to our website, yourtaxcoach.com.
I think also I love how you say, you not everything has to look the same for everybody.
No.
So it's really important to do some soul searching and figure out what fills your cup and how you can apply it to your everyday work. I enjoy going into the office. I have a remote work from home position, but I love going to the office because it gets me out, it gets me showered, I can put on heels and some makeup, and you meet people who just bring smiles to my face every day.
Yeah.
We have fun at the office. Every day is different. And so I think put on those shoes and get out there and really just be who you are, and you're going to be successful no matter what. It doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle. And maybe you find that real estate isn't for you, but that's okay. You learned something about yourself.
Totally. I think that that's a really good point you bring up, because sometimes you might get into this industry and you're like, I don't even like this. Then don't do it. Like we have to work for a long time in our lives. Like, I think that's one thing I learned early on is like, I gave myself my 20s. I'm like, if I try this and I don't like it, I'm going to dump it. I'm going to move to the next thing. And so I feel like that allowed me the grace to figure out something I was passionate about, because I know I'll be working till I'm 60, 70 years old. I actually like working. So finding something that I enjoy doing where I can make money is so important. And real estate, you can really craft it to look a lot of different ways. And I think that that is such a great point that you talked about, is it doesn't, like, if I want to really go and find my business through my kids' sports, I absolutely can do that if I have intention behind it. And so really just understanding that concept that, you know, somebody might be telling you, like, you have to cold call, you have to do for sale by owners, you have to door knock, you have to do these things. You don't have to. You just have to figure out, how am I meeting new people on a regular basis? And once they come into my ecosystem, how am I staying relevant to them? And that can look so many different ways.
And for a lot of women, that is getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know what we're passionate about. And what's really amazing about real estate, in my point of view, is that there's so many different facets of the business that you can get into.
Yes, I know. Yes.
And that's overlooked, I think, so much, especially by new people that are coming into the industry. They just think residential resale.
Yeah.
But there's opportunities, you know, commercial, land, medical sales, multifamily, property management,
transaction coordinating,
business brokerage. You know, I was talking to a business broker at a CCIM event, and she said, you know, I wanted to be a CPA at one point, but I really didn't like the schooling, and somebody mentioned real estate. Why don't you get into real estate? And she's like, it's amazing. I've done so well. I can use my CPA knowledge and love of finance along with real estate. And, you know, people don't think of those things. You know, you own a business, you're selling a business. If there's land that goes with it or a lease, you have to have a real estate license to do that transaction.
I have still, in the 10 years I've been doing this and meeting with agents all week, every week, I've only met one business broker. I don't even know how that's possible.
I know. They're out there, though.
They're so, like, yeah, I know. It's like this thing that you forget about. But you have to go to real estate school to be a business broker.
You do?
Yeah, that's so crazy. I don't know. I even forgot about it now.
I think also people forget, like you said, if it's not for you, you can put your license inactive.
Yeah.
And maybe it's for you 5 years down the road.
Yeah, don't let it go. Gosh, you know, I did that. I got my license when I was 18 and got my license again when I was, oh my gosh, I don't know, 32, I think. And so anyways, when I went back, I was so mad I let it go. I was like, because I didn't want to go through that schooling and testing again.
You're in a different season. You're like, hey, I'm in a different place. I think I want to get into that. I see that sometimes with individuals who are coming to real estate class because their parent wanted them to, or an employer wanted them to.
That was me at 18.
And you weren't really 100% committed.
I passed the test and I tried it out. I sold one home when I was 18 and I'm like, I'm out. This is terrible. And it was just the situation and the route that I went, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'll never forget when I was in real estate school at 18, I think I was downtown Scottsdale. So I think it was Arizona School of Real Estate and Business. And I remember they kept talking about RE/MAX, and I looked at the person next to me. I'm like, what is a RE/MAX? Like, that's how much I didn't know about real estate. It was like, literally my dad said, you graduate in a couple weeks, right after you graduate, you're going into real estate school. And I was like, all right, I just did whatever he said.
Right.
So,
for sure.
But
he had it planned. He was like, you're going to go to school, you're going to get this, and then you're going to be off on your own.
Absolutely. And I wish I would have had somebody telling me it can look so many different ways, because I just signed up with somebody that, you know, was referred by a family friend, and it was just a small brokerage that didn't have a lot of training. And my experience looked a way that shouldn't look for new agents, but I didn't know any better. And so I wanted out of it so quick because I didn't know all the opportunity there.
Yeah, you have to ask questions. And a big brokerage, a small brokerage, everybody has different needs. And
yeah,
so
it's not a one size fits all.
It isn't. And it's also the community at the brokerage, because you could have a broker that provides training, business cards, leads, this and that. If you're not feeling supported by the other individuals at the brokerage, it could be a horrible experience for you.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to ask around, to go and meet, to have individuals that you can talk about and be like, you know, this is what I liked about this broker, and this is what I like about this broker. One of my good friends many years ago got into the industry, and she had worked at the office. And she wanted to get into real estate because her daughter was going to high school. She wanted a little bit more freedom. As I hear so many times, moms will say, you know, I just want a little bit more freedom, and I'm changing
always.
Careers. Little do they know, right? Not as much freedom.
There can be, but yeah, it's hard.
You're working different hours. But we had to sit down and she lay out and be like, okay, these are the commission splits. This is what these brokers are offering. But ultimately, it comes down to who you feel can best support what you need, because you do need that support to be successful, to break the barrier of that 3-year mark.
Yeah. Community is the most important thing in culture in a brokerage, in my opinion. And again, this comes from meeting with thousands of agents over the years. And like, yes, you can have the best technology, the best this, that, the other thing. But at the end of the day, people want to be around people that motivate them. And so you're so right on that. Definitely, like, it would be the number one thing if I was looking for a brokerage. And there, like we said, like it's not a one size fits all. There's so many great brokerages out there. You have to figure out what works for you. And one piece of advice I would have for you is try to find a brokerage that will meet you at all the different seasons that you go through. So as a new agent, your needs are going to be X. As a, top producing solo agent, it's going to be X. And if you decide to start a team or build a network, like, your seasons change, what you need changes. So find somebody that you can grow with, so you don't have to move a ton, would be my advice.
Right. You can move your license, but I think it's really important to give it a try. And since I've been in your Facebook group, the community of women just asking questions, you can tell who the new agents are.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that those women are reaching out to the other members for help with open houses, what brokerage they're going to go to. Oh my gosh, I'm having this issue with a client. And so if you join a brokerage and you're feeling alone, just being in the Moms in Real Estate group can make you feel supported in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, there's so much training in there. I hear all the time from people is like, all the Facebook groups that I've been in are so negative. And then they're like, but yours isn't. And it's because me and Randy really do a great job of fostering like a very positive atmosphere. If somebody's negative in there, I'll be like, you're not in here. Like, we don't need that. You can go into whatever other Facebook groups there are. But like, we really want to have like the empowerment as like one of the forefront things, like empowerment, encouraging, and educating people. So, well, this has been so much fun learning about your story. I love to close with a fun question. So,
all right,
if you were to go and sell real estate, like if you were going to go and build a real estate business, who is a famous person you'd want to go in business with and why?
That is tough. Who's a famous person that I would want to go into business with? Well, I'm not very starstruck, so I don't pay attention to
what about like just a really influential person that you're like, I love what they do?
I don't know.
It's a hard question.
It is a really hard question. I tend to root for the underdog a lot of times. And so I would really want somebody who can kind of open doors and show people who never really thought that they could have this dream, make it possible. And I don't know who that would be. My goodness.
Okay. It can be hard. You can
give me some suggestions.
Well, I'll tell you the one I get most. Like people always say Taylor Swift, and I'm like, can we come up with anybody else? No. We've had Candace Cameron has been a one that we were so excited because she reshared our post. I I love Jenna Kutcher because she's like amazing at marketing, and she's to me like somebody that I can relate with. So she could tell me to buy a face wash that she started using and I would buy it from her. So I liked her. There's so many people. It's hard.
There are. And I don't have somebody that comes to my mind.
That's okay. We'll have to follow up, and we can put it in the show notes if you follow up with us with who that would be.
On my drive back to Tucson, I will rack my brain.
Yeah, even think like podcast hosts. You could say Joe Rogan if you wanted. You could say, I mean, the sky's the limit. So,
all right, it will be in the podcast notes for sure. I promise.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right.
It's a lot of fun.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hi, it's Kim and Whitney from Real Social Agent, and we love helping real estate professionals create social media content that helps them grow their business.
If you're a real estate professional looking to save time and create more effective content, we're about to make your life so much better.
You're amazing at what you do, and we're here to make sure everyone else knows that. From social media coaching to custom content creation, our job is to make you shine.
Follow us on Instagram at Real Social Agent or download our free Reels 101 library at the link in the show notes.
Thanks, friend, for listening to the podcast. We love having you in our community. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review or share it with a friend. Also, we'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Go follow us at Moms in Real Estate.